we're going to talk about Reddit. And there's actually a lot of good content on Reddit and a lot of real people with real questions about injury claims.
Yeah.
So let's get at it. We got one. We think that's going to be super relevant to you guys listening and watching. Give it a go.
Well, okay. I'll just jump right in. How I negotiated a settlement without a lawyer. That's the topic. Which
Bad idea.
Bad idea right out the gate. I did a lot of research. It just makes you wonder what research. And I couldn't find many examples from real people, so I thought I'd share my experience to others. I was hit by a drunk driver on the highway. You can see from my post history for the video, if you're curious, I did not seek medical treatment immediately after the accident. I was checked out by medics at the scene. I drove myself to the ER once I got home. From this point forward, I documented everything. Time at the ER, how long it took me to get there, and the mileage. Document all of your time, not just time off work. Every call to the insurance, trip for estimates, follow up with doctors, etc. It may be 10 to 15 minutes here or there, but it adds up and the time is available. Once I was fully healed, I waited a good 9+ months to ensure that there was no lingering injuries. At no point did I talk to the other driver's insurance. When they would call, I was polite but firm, and I haven't ruled out a lawsuit, and I was unwilling to talk to them at this time. I crafted my own demand letter from a combination of many templates I found online. I detailed my diagnosis and how I felt emotionally and physically of the accident. I provided all the doctor's bill already paid by my insurance. I used the sum of my doctor's bills, $4,000, multiplied by 1.5, as I was not detrimentally injured. I also provided all the time I'd spent off work and the various other time I spent that I had documented. I used my hourly wage to calculate my total time, $2.5 thousand in lost income. From there, I asked for higher than what I felt was a fair amount, $10,000. I figured I'd come in as high, $10,000. I asked for a few days to think it over. I think it was important to note.
I love that. I don't love that. Okay, go on. Sorry.
I think it's important to note that the adjuster is not the one that caused your pain. There is no value in being mean or nasty to them. Anyways, 2 days later, I called the 2 days. Within 2 days, I called the adjuster that I thought $8,000 was fair, and I had used the $1.5 my medical cost plus the time I had demonstrated I was out. The adjuster offered me $7.5 thousand during the conversation, which I happily accepted. Anyways, that's my experience. I hope you never find yourself in the same situation, but if you do, maybe this will help you out.
I mean, look, I got to give that whoever wrote that a lot of credit because it's well crafted, it's well written.
Thought about it.
But I immediate questions that pop in, right?
Yeah.
What were the injuries? So we have $4,000 in treatment or bills. Went to the ER, drove himself.
Now, is it $4,000? Do you think after insurance too? That's what He didn't say.
It didn't say, so it's hard to know.
That could be his out-of-pocket deductible, even.
That's possible. So let's just say we have $4,000 in medical bills.
Yeah.
And some of that's probably diagnostic because it went to the ER.
Yeah.
There's probably x-rays taken. He said he wasn't detrimentally injured.
And he doesn't say what state. This could be in a state where medical bills, we don't know where it is.
So we don't. So first of all, we think it might be there's some soft tissue sprain, strain. We don't know if it's neck, back. We don't know shoulder. We don't know knee, wrist, arms. So extremities. We don't know that. Probably diagnostics or probably x-rays. Because if you're coming into the ER with that, they're not going to do an MRI or CT because the bills will probably be higher. So probably x-rays, probably ER bill. And then my guess is he didn't really do anything afterwards.
For a long time.
On first blush, $7,500 is not crazy because there's a good chance that, with 4,000 medical bills in Utah, you'd have a claim.
And he threw in there, he waited 9 months to see if he had any more pain and injuries.
So it doesn't sound like, because oftentimes adjusters are going to say, hey, what's the treatment? What'd they do? And if there's no treatment, there's no injury. So could we have done a lot better in Utah with what we know? Probably.
Yeah, especially with a DUI. There's other factors.
That's where we're going next, is because when you start throwing in a bad actor, okay, insurance companies hate that.
Yeah.
As soon as they know that their insured was a DUI driver or an impaired driver with whatever, we don't know whether it was drugs or alcohol or what it was, they're going to be scared of that, because if you take that to a possible jury, all right, this is putting our lawyer hats on.
Yeah.
If we file a suit on this, they know their driver is impaired or drugs or alcohol, whether it's drugs or alcohol, they don't like that.
Yeah, kind of the Mothers Against Drunk Driving group that you hope's on your jury.
So there's a good chance. Now, I don't want that person, whoever wrote that, on my jury, to be honest. Yeah. I think 10,000 is fair. No, yeah. I think 8,000 is fair. I probably don't want that person on our jury.
Yeah.
But DUI sounds like a bad accident. Went to the ER.
Yeah, went to the ER
it
same
felt like
day.
there was enough to go take him to the ER. And then there was all those, 4,000 or so medical bills. And it sounds like there was, because he calculated time for maybe other visits.
Well, it sounds like he missed
or he
$2,500
missed
in work.
so a lot of lost wages. So what we call those are economic damages. Okay.
Sounds like he was at least
Or
probably,
special damages.
probably compensated for the economic damages. That was his whole number.
Yeah,
There's
that's
no
the full number
pain and
because with the
suffering.
4,000 in medical bills and the 2,500 of lost wages, that's 6,500. They
Plus,
gave
he
him,
said mileage and some other things.
yeah, so they gave him like $500 for pain and suffering. That's exactly what we hear all the time, and we say, don't take it.
Yeah.
That's a lowball offer,
That's a lowball offer.
and he was willing to do it. We waited 9 months. So it was probably 9 months of trying to get a hold of them, and they just kept delaying and delaying, delaying.
Yeah.
And so by the time 9 months was over, he was like, I'll take it.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Verdict, left money on the table.
Left a lot of money on the table,
Left money on the table, even with attorney's fees.
even with attorney's
Even
fees.
with attorney's fees.
Because with the DUI, the lost wages, the medical bills, he left a lot of money on the table.
Yeah.
But to that person, was it fair?
To them, if they felt like they got righteous justice, it is what it is.
For you.
They seem to like it and have posted about it. I don't know if I'd follow that advice, but
If you're reading that Reddit user, I would not follow that advice. But if that person feels good about themselves, I'm not going to say that's a
yeah.
bad on him or her, but they left money on the table
Yeah.
for sure.